Shanghai, Manchester United's first training session of Tour 2016 presented by Aon. They've only been in the country for 6 hours and they've come straight here to train in the intense, some might say brutal heat of the middle of the day. We're suffering up here on the balcony overlooking training. I've got Ji-Sung Park, Brian Robson and Paddy Crayon with me, and we are still wondering how these guys are upright in these conditions.
I've got to say, Stu, I'm not quite so sure. The goalkeepers, I mean, they look as if they're not being affected by the heat at all. They've all got gloves on.
It was in many ways, it was a surprise to see David De Gea and Sergio Romero both on international duty over the summer, but they're here because Spain, and another team who very surprisingly got knocked out of the Euros quite early, but De Gea, a year ago, all we were talking about was, is he going to stay? Well, now we're not talking about that anymore.
We're delighted to say natural. But I think the manager wisely has got every player, even the ones that play, to come here and mix with each other and get to know each other. I think that's important when you get to know. They'll not be playing a half of them, I don't think, will they?
And G, what do you make of the business that United have done so far? Henrik Mkhitaryan, Eric Bailly, and Ibrahimovic, who's obviously not here. We didn't mention him before, but what do you think of those new signings?
I think it's great. So actually, the three players, actually we needed them.
Yeah.
And then we needed that position. So it's good added in the squad. And then I know they're all from out of the EPL, so they need a little time to adapt to the English football. But I'm sure they will get as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with Zlatan, it's a little bit where he's 34, and it would have been nice to get him at like 28, 29, something like that. But the way he played for PSG last year, he's got a lot to offer still. He looked really fit, even though...
Do you know his big problem, Brian? He lacks a little bit of confidence.
That was a great interview, wasn't it?
Fantastic.
The last time you were interviewed, you were 10 out of 10, and the journalist asked him, what do you think you are now? Then now that you got to this age, you went 11 out of 10.
But do you feel as though the club needs a character like that, a big character, possibly a leader like him in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think so. He has a lot of experience, and then he can show his character on the dressing room and on the pitch. So he can influence for the players, particularly the young players. They can quite emotional from that, and then they can learn a lot from that, and then they can show out on the pitch.
I think it'll take it away from Wayne as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, every time we had a bad result or Wayne didn't play particularly well, the excuses is Wayne didn't play, and the pressure's on him all the time to perform, where I think Zlatan will take that away from Wayne a wee bit, and Wayne can maybe just relax and enjoy his game as well.
And do you get the impression that the manager is very much at home here? Bear in mind, it's been 6 weeks or so since he actually got the job officially. Do you think he looks very much at home in the United dugout and as the man who's leading this great club?
No, well, he will be. He's been at great clubs anyway. So he knows what all the pressures about, the expectations at a club like this. He's dealt with top players all around the world through his career, so he'll have no problem in dealing with that. And I'm sure he'll relish the squad of players that he's got and trying to get the best out of them.
I think you said something earlier on, Brian, that I've been thinking for some time. I think he always wanted to come here for some strange reason. That's what I thought. You mentioned it, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's probably because we are classed as the biggest club in the world, even though we've got Real Madrid and Barcelona, Bayern Munich. We're not being disrespectful to them, but because of our fan base throughout the world, Pat, what we need to do is we need to match. Yeah, we need to match on the pitch and success in winning trophies with the biggest fan base in the world.
I think that's why some people maybe complained a little bit when we said
Ibrahimovic. Zlatan.
That's why Zlatan's far easier. Yeah. That's why I said Zlatan,
right. G's a great name. Great name, G. But I think even at his age, I don't think it matters, Brian. I think if he's successful at United for maybe 1 or 2 years, it doesn't matter. I think the most important thing is, I think United have got to win the league again.
Well,
I think they've got to win the league
just
again.
Go back to Salix's last year. Robin Van Persie, everybody's saying about his age and his injuries and all that. I tell you what, he won us the title.
Yes, I think it was a great buy, and I think everybody realise that, and I think this fella could do the same for us.
Well, let's hope so. Well, hopefully we'll see him in Gothenburg in a pre-season friendly that you'll see as part of Tour 2016 on MUTV. We saw already a lot of fans at hotels that you always see here whenever United come to Asia. I went with you once to Seoul. I've never seen anything like it. It was like Beatlemania. It was like rockstar. So are Manchester United still as big as they were a few years ago, or are they bigger? Are they as big as ever here in Asia?
I think getting bigger, yeah.
Really?
I think, yeah, definitely getting bigger. And then, yeah, even the United last few years, they couldn't get the result what we expected from Asia. But still, the fans, irrespective of their history, and then their fame, and then the ambitions in the club. So yeah, still getting increased the fan base in Asia and the whole world. So the United just need to match their expectation. So from this season.
I remember when we played in Seoul, and when you walked on the pitch in your crutches, the crowd went absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it wasn't even playing.
No, it was incredible.
Absolute madness.
It was incredible.
I think the thing is sometimes when you have a couple of indifferent seasons, you know, the fans will maybe just go a little bit overboard, and it's like, oh, we need 6 or 7 players, and you know, it all needs to be changed. No, sometimes it doesn't. You've got to recognise who are your top players and the players you want to keep in the club, and now you go out a little bit like Jose has done, and you select 3 or 4 absolute top players to go with the great players that you've already got in the club, because you can't forget the fact that we have still got great players in this club.
And G, are you still in touch with any of the players you used to work with at United? You had a great friendship with Patrice Evra, which you remember very fondly in pre-season. Are you still in touch with those guys?
Yeah, still I contact Patrice Evra. It's quite a lot, actually. Yeah, he's my best mate at the club, and still he's the best friend. So me and still we can talk about the when we was in Manchester. So we still good memories, and then still we can joke. A lot of things to do.
We've had a look at Wayne Rooney there as well, who's joined the tour after his break after international duty. A lot of people wondering about his role, Robbo, you know, whether he'll play in behind Ibrahimovic or alongside him, or whether he might not play. We just, what do you think?
Well, I think the one thing that the manager's already made the news is that he'll not be playing in midfield.
In midfield.
He's said that, so we know he's going to be playing in behind or up through the middle with whoever the manager selects on the day.
I always liked him as a midfield player, Brian, because I thought he was terrific passer of the ball, great imagination, all that sort of thing. And I was surprised a little bit when Jose came out and said that I think maybe he might sometime or somewhere along the way might have to use him in the middle of the park. He seems to want him up there as a striker. And don't forget, he tried to sign him a few years ago.
I think if he's in the hole there, though, Paddy, he can get back into midfield, and you know, he can change position to a certain degree. But when you're doing that, now you need a couple of midfield players who, if Wayne's dropping deep to get on the ball and pull defenders out there, now you need midfield players who can time the run and get into the box and you know, make that extra attacker.
We've got one like that now, haven't we?
Well, it looks like it, yeah.
Would you, I mean, when you played with Wayne, did you think he'll eventually play in midfield, or do you still think his best striker he is going to probably be our record goal scorer, you know?
Yeah, I think actually he can play everywhere. Actually, he's a talented. He can pass the ball. He has a vision. He's strong, so he can run a lot. So, yeah, it doesn't matter how he used the manager on him, but actually he can play either side. So I don't doubt about he can play midfield or forward.
And do you miss it all, G, when you're looking at the pre-season training? And maybe you don't miss that, but do you miss the camaraderie, the fun, playing for Manchester United? Do you miss all that?
Yeah, I miss the training session, and even hotter weather, but still enjoy to play with the players. So yeah, sometimes I really want to do, but you know, it's not my business at the moment. So just watching, enjoy.
I think what you miss a great degree, even going back to my days, the fun you have with each other in the dressing room and everybody taking the mickey out of one another and all that sort of thing. You miss that to a great degree.
Yeah, particularly dressing room, the players teasing each other, and then funny things happen. So it's really missed out. Yeah, even training sessions. So.
Yeah.
Something you sort of hinted at earlier on there was about the fact that United again being linked with Paul Pogba. We know that United have signed 3 players. The manager said he wants to sign 4, clearly being linked with Pogba. That midfield area has been discussed so often with United, Robbo. You're the expert in the midfield area. How big a signing would that be?
Well, I think Pogba, you know, he's a top-class player. You know, I know that David Gill and Sir Alex were a little bit disappointed when he didn't make his mind up to stay at United when he actually went to Juventus, because they always thought that he was going to be a very good player. But the lad has gone on, really proved himself. I was just surprised in the Euros the way the French manager used him. You know, he was using him defensively in that last game rather than, you know, more attack and roll. Because I definitely think he's at his best when he gets a free license to be able to go forward, and he can cause people all sorts of problems. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money, whether it's 90 million, 100 million, but you know, are we really bothered if he's a top-class player? Let's get a top-class player in the club.
I don't think the club are bothered about what the value is. You get the impression that they're desperate to get him back anyway.
Were you just at the end of your United career when Pogba left? I mean, do you have memories? Because as an under-18 player, he looked outstanding.
Yeah, he's got talented. Potential is quite big. He's far from the other players, and he got physically strong. It fits well in the English football because he needs a strong character in the midfield position. So, and he can attack as well. He can defend as well. So, he's really suitable for the Man United, also in the Premier League as well.
When you see that Jose hopes to make 4 signings, do you think, Robert, that'll be enough? That'll turn it around? We'll be back challenging again?
Yes, I do. As long as we stay away from the amount of injuries that we had last year. It's unbelievable the amount of injuries we picked up. But, you know, with Luke Shaw back, Antonio, like I think Valencia's a real top player, you know, and he can play in different positions. He's a strong lad, powerful, great pace. And so, you know, with Antonio being fit as well, that'll make a big difference to the squad, as well as us, you know, getting Phil Jones, people like that back.
I prefer him in the wing, Brian.
Antonio?
Yeah.
No, definitely, Pad. I think he's better. I mean, with Damian's energy and pace that he's got, you know, when he loves to break forward, he needs somebody in front of him where, you know, he can get round and get an understanding with another player. And I think Valencia and Damian are perfect for getting that sort of, you know, team pattern going on that right-hand side.